Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
There I am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Ooh, it's a chilly morning out there. I think the weather is going to be another season. We've already had 2 seasons. We had spring and fall. I can't say summer this week, but I think winter's coming tomorrow. And then we're back to spring or fall. And then who knows what happens after that. But it's been a wild November, hasn't it? We talked about the wind last week. We had a lot of wind. I had to anchor everything down, including the dog. He wouldn't go outside. I had to put him on his chain and hope for the best. And then I hear we're going to have some high winds again tonight, so secure those garbage cans, because I've been seeing some flying around the neighborhood lately. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. There's my turkey, and I can't believe it. It's the holiday season is upon us already. I mean, Halloween is a thing of the past, and we're already in the throes of Thanksgiving. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. There he is. At our house tomorrow, we're going to have my wife's clan up for Thanksgiving, because there's a very good reason why we do what we do, because usually this time of year is hunting season, and the hunters all are chomping at the bit. So rather than torture them on Thanksgiving Day, they're all going to be down wherever they're going to be in Pennsylvania or out in the woods, and so we'll do Thanksgiving with my family out of town. But it's that wild time of year between hunting and the holidays. So I hope you've strapped in your seatbelt and you're ready to roll, because we're in the full speed ahead. One of the things I like to remind you is that this is a community-based show. I try to bring programs from all corners of Chautauqua County, and if you have a question or a comment or you want to make an announcement, you can email us, you can call it in at 753-5225. You can Facebook us, you can Twitter us. I have my iPad here behind Mr. Turkey, and the little messages pop up. If somebody calls in and they don't want to ask a question, that's fine. You know, some people just get all kind of nervous trying to talk live on TV. It's really no big deal. But go ahead and ask the question, and Chris will send the question over here, and it pops up on my screen, and we'll propose it for you. But don't hesitate to call. We want to hear from you. We've got a great show in store for you today, and an area that I love to talk about, and that's just the entertainment field and all that sort of thing. So we'll get to that in a little bit. I have a bunch of things to share with you. Well, let's see what else I got. Okay, I talked a little bit about that. Hunting season, okay, I mentioned it already, but put on your high alerts right now. This morning, I saw that there were some hunters across the road, which is no big deal for me, except we have to close all our curtains because you never know who's going to be standing outside of our bedroom window any given morning at 6 o'clock. So, first of all, be mindful that there's hunters out and about. Secondly, because the hunters are out and about, that's moving a lot of the wildlife. And just as I was driving down the road, I mean, I'm talking like 2 seconds down the road today from my house, 3 deer come tearing across the road because they're starting to put the drive on the deer. And I'm not saying they're hunting the deer, but they're beginning to move because they're out there looking for the various animals and spotting them and that sort of thing. So, I don't know, is today first day of hunting season? Is it? Okay. I know there's bear season in Pennsylvania because we got a family down there, so I guess today's first day of deer season. Anyways, so be careful. A lot of people hit deer or the deer hit you. That's usually what happens. So just be on guard, especially as the night gets starts to approach in the evening time and it starts getting around 5 o'clock. The deer are still moving and the hunters are wrapping up for the day, but just keep that in mind, okay? Two words that scare me more than anything else in the whole world, and here they are: Black Friday. Did you ever go shopping on Black Friday? I went once to the mall down in Mill Creek Mall one year. I thought, I'll try this thing out. I'm not claustrophobic. I could be after that. I might need psychotherapy. I'll tell you, I went in there and there was droves of people. I don't know what they were doing, and it was just like being in a beehive. And I stood behind a pillar, and I just stood there for a while, and I thought, I got to get out of here. I think I bought 1 or 2 things, and I left. I said, this is nuts. So Black Friday is coming up, and day after Thanksgiving. Again, be safe out there. Take your time. Lots of traffic. I had an experience the other day. Let's see, what day was it? Wednesday. My daughter calls up and says, Dad, would you come over to the salon? And that's Bella Salon, one of our underwriters for the show that you saw a little bit ago in opening credits there. And I said, why? And she said, well, they were picked by Channel 12 out of Erie to do a feature story about their salon, and they needed some bodies in there to look busy and some guys and so on. So that's fine. I go there and get my hair done. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting in a chair. They're trimming my hair, and Paul Wagner from Channel 12 is sitting next to me interviewing me. So I'm on TV everywhere. Now I'm going to be in Erie. It'll be, from what I understand, for those of you who are watching right now, if you pick up Channel 12, here I'm advertising for another channel, for another TV station. For Channel 12 out of Erie, I think it's around 5 o'clock on Monday. You might see me for like 5 seconds. So just a little plug there. So that was a lot of fun. And Bella Salon Day Spa, who's one of our supporters I mentioned, they just got notified that they are, once again, I think this is their 7th year, they're in the top 200 fastest growing salons in America. So they're doing pretty good down there. So pretty cool. So check it out. And of the sponsors that we do have, we do encourage you to check out Fredonia Place if you have need for senior living. Great place. Bella Salon. Who else we got? We also check out WRFA if you're driving through Jamestown or in the immediate area there, that you can pick it up. At 107.9. One day I was driving through there. I was listening to myself. That scared the wits out of me. I didn't even, what's going on? And I forgot. They rebroadcast this at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. So this show will be live, or not live, but rebroadcast once again. Kathy Young, of course, is a great supporter of the show, and she's very approachable. If you have any questions about whatever's going on, email her office or call. They'll go right back to you. And of course, our last underwriter, and not least, is the Westfield Memorial Hospital. Awesome place to go. I would highly recommend it. I've gone there myself when I've needed to, when we got family members do. It's just a great community, rural hospital, and it's got great services there and great staff. Check it out. Okay. couple things I want to tell you more is I got some announcements. Okay. Ray Chris, here we go. Christmas in the Village, today and tomorrow, from 10 to 6, so I'll be starting in just a little while, and 12 to 4 tomorrow. Easton Hall on Elm Street in Westfield includes local artisans, live music, Christmas carolers, concessions. No, this isn't right. Horse-drawn, Chris, not what you've got. Horse-drawn carriages, rides, today only. Sunday will feature Holly Tour. I don't know what WWO means, but it's throughout the community. They open up their various houses and people can go visit a lot of the mansions and the larger houses, and they're all decorated. So anyways, that's coming up today and tomorrow, the big Holly Tour and Christmas in the Village in Westfield. Okay, next one, Thanksgiving Bake Sale, November 25th, the day before Thanksgiving. They tell me that in the event that you don't like to bake pies or cakes, this is your opportunity. Go down to Meters Restaurant. Everybody knows where Meters is in Ripley. It's going to be in the large banquet hall, and they are featuring breads and rolls and pies, and this is from the Ripley Bicentennial Committee. They're having a big bake sale to support what they're going to be doing this coming summer. Big doings in Ripley, 200 years of its existence, and they're going to have a lot of things going on. So check it out if you don't like to bake, and that will be me. So I will be there sometime that day with my granddaughter looking for something good to bring for Thanksgiving to my brother's house. Okay, moving along. My good friends at Infinity Visual and Performing Arts, we know them, has joined Giving Tuesday, a global day of giving that harnesses the collective power of individuals, communities, and organizations to encourage philanthropy and to celebrate generosity worldwide. Why do they give me these long, hard words this early in the morning? Occurring this year on December 1, Giving Tuesday is held, occurring this year on December 1, comma. Giving Tuesday is held annually on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving throughout the United States. After the widely recognized shopping events such as Black Friday and Cyber Monday to kick off the holiday giving season and inspire people to collaborate, improving their local communities and to give back in impactful ways to the causes that they support. Those who are interested in joining Infinity's Giving Tuesday initiative can visit infinityperformingarts.org/Giving Tuesday. So if you're interested, check that out one more time. This is all one word. infinityperformingarts.org/Giving-Tuesday. And in other information, Infinity Visual and Performing Arts will be holding a flapjack fundraiser at Lakewood's neighborhood Applebee's located at Fairmount Avenue. The fundraiser will take place on Saturday, December 5 from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. No. 10 a.m. to 10. Wait a minute. Stop. The dots and lines are moving before my eyes. Let's try that again. The fundraiser will take place on Saturday, December 5th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's only a couple hours. Tickets are $6 each, and each ticket is good for all-you-can-eat pancakes, bacon, and drinks. That's a pretty good deal. So that's for the Infinity Performing Arts. Great organization. Do a lot of great things for kids, and good friends of mine. Okay, also I have a note, and we don't have a slide on this, but Chautauqua County Head Start is still got openings for children, ages 3 through 4, various programs throughout the county. If you have a child in that age group and you would like to have some educational programming for them, call Head Start. They're in the phone book through Chautauqua Opportunities and so forth. They're in this down here in Jamestown. They're also got offices in Dunkirk. Give them a call, check it out, and if you need more information, you can always contact us here at the studio on any of the things that I talk about or that I butcher as I'm trying to read the small print. It doesn't. You might be laughing when I read this stuff. Sometimes it's not quite the way it's supposed to look, so I have to ad-lib as I go along. Okay, what else was I going to talk to you about? Okay, so we're going to take a public service announcement here in a second, but I just want to let you know that one of the things that I love about this show, I love coming out here Saturday mornings, is that I can bring, hopefully to you, some interesting topics and things that you may not necessarily always be able to find out about or read about. And one of my major objectives with the show is to tell you about things that are over on that side of the county, or on that side, or up there, or down there. Because we seem to have these imaginary lines that we don't cross sometimes. And I'm sitting here in Mayville, and right in the middle of the county, and we're talking about everything. And so that's what I want you to know. Two more things I want you to know. I just discovered here on my desk that I forgot to mention. So let's go now back to Westfield for a second, and over at the Crossroads Market, where all those great shops are. They're going to have a Black Friday event November 27th, and Saturday, November 28th. They're going to be open, and Santa is coming to town. And I promised Dennis Drew that I would mention Rainey Arbo and Daisy Mayhem are going to be at the Reg tonight. So tickets are available, so if you want to check out that show, we've got lots of good things going on in Chautauqua County. That's what Chautauqua Sunrise is all about. Give you all the information so you can check these things out on your own. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with my guest. Stick around. You're going to miss this. If you don't watch this, you're going to miss a great show. I'll be back.
I never thought I could be brave enough. I'm not trained to do that kind of stuff. But I decided to take the first step.
Is there a fire in you? Volunteer at www.
Okay, and we're back. I'm Doc Hamels, if you just joined us. And I also want to welcome the listeners on WRFA. They'll be listening to us on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So it's either good morning or it's good evening, because you could be watching us in the evening. Later on this week, throughout Jamestown, Dunkirk, Fredonia area, throughout the county. I understand we even get into Cattaraugus County. I didn't know that until someone told me one day. And so let's see, where am I going with all this? Okay, so what I want to tell you is that my guest today is someone that I've actually shared the stage with, right?
Indeed.
We did.
Yes.
We both are feeling rather awkward because we don't have our guitars strapped on, and you were watching us unabridged here without our guitars. And so, Ken, welcome to the show. You were on a while back, and you were promoting your new CD, The Moose Club. And but we're not going to talk primarily about music today. We're going to talk about something else.
Oh,
right?
good.
Yeah, something I think that's even more, just as interesting. Just as interesting. And I promised Ken today that today's show will be sublime.
Sublime.
Sublime. Your word, not mine. I saw that this morning and I started laughing. He posted it on Facebook that the show will be sublime. So hopefully we will meet your expectations of being sublime. Ken Hardley, you surprised me today because I really didn't know about you personally. And now that I do, I won't think any less of you.
Well,
no, you really surprised me because I didn't know your actual background outside of the music realm. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and all that good stuff.
yeah, I have a day job.
A real job.
Yeah, that happens. That definitely happens. Yes, indeed. Well, the old story. What's the difference between a large pizza and a musician? A large pizza can feed a family of 4. So I thought I needed something to do for a living during the day. So I became a psychologist, and that's what I actually do during the day when I'm not making music.
You're a psychologist. Where did you study?
Geneseo.
Okay.
I got my degree from Geneseo.
And how long have you been doing that?
Well, I've been in the business for 38 years. As a psychologist, I've been in the business for 27 years, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You said you've been in the business 38 years. The business of what?
In human services.
Oh, human services.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes. By day, I work for the DDSO.
Okay. And as a psychologist, who are your clients?
I work with folks right now with developmental disabilities. My primary modality is behaviorism. I'm a behaviorist. That's the kind of psychology that I practice. So we work with folks with lots of different kinds of problems that behaviorism might be able to help with.
Okay. And we talked a little bit about that. And I actually have a number of hours in psychology. And I had thought about being a psychologist at one time, but then I kind of found myself floating into special education, and that's where I ended up. Here's a funny question. When you were sitting at Geneseo taking all those courses in behavioralism, stuff like that, how many syndromes did you have?
How many syndromes did I have? A little bit of each one, as it turns out.
When I was sitting,
and they're all fun.
I was sitting in class, and they would say, "Well, this is what a psychotic does," and I go, "Okay, schizophrenic does this," and I'm just being in general, and I'm not making fun, but the point was that I think that we all can kind of relate to some things once in a while, and I'm going like,
yeah, it's an occupational hazard.
Yeah,
that definitely happens.
So I always remember we were all sitting around laughing and thinking, oh my gosh, we were all psychoanalyzing each other in the classes. But I enjoyed psychology a lot. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally actually from Mayville, so that's one of the
You're back! Welcome home!
Many reasons I love to come to this show. I love to visit with you on a Saturday morning and come and then see my old hometown. And walk into this is actually broadcast from my old alma mater. It used to be Mayville Central School here.
You know what room this is?
And I have to say, this is the old shop.
Yep.
And I never came in here because I have an aversion to manual labor. But I heard about this room when I was going to school here. And I have to say, walking in, it strikes me that, I started school here in 1959. Dwight Eisenhower was president. Sputnik was just launched. And things that, the twist had yet to come into being. That dance, the twist, you might remember that.
I remember that, yeah.
And, but I walk in, and some things never change. This building smells exactly the same
as it did
in 1959. It's astounding. And it's subtly different as you go down the hallway, just like it was back then. At one point it smells like the prom. At the next point it smells like the bathroom. And they're all wonderful.
It triggers things.
It definitely does. I'm going to call my old girlfriend as soon as I leave the show today.
I did an article once in my column from Out of the West for Silver Magazine, and it was all about smell. And I took we're talking about psychology here. I took a psychology course about human behavior, and the woman that was the prof at the time was saying that people have gotten away from sensing people, the smell of people, and I'll explain. She said, long before deodorants and things like that, you could sense when somebody was fearful because our body emanates certain whatevers, or joy or whatever. Pheromones. Thank you, Chris. I was going to say pheromone, but I wasn't sure it was the right word. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't trust myself at all. Anyways, but the whole thing was that certain smells trigger memories, and so there you go. So I feel the same way.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of energy covering up how we smell, how we really smell, and that's not always been like that in human history. As you say, we used to find the human smell very attractive. In fact, Napoleon, when he was on a campaign, would actually send somebody to tell Josephine, "I'll be home in 3 weeks, don't bathe." It's a true story.
Okay, you heard it first here. Chautauqua Sunrise.
And I do want to mention, as long as we mentioned that I'm a psychologist, I will be opening a private practice one of these days. Under my real name, Ken Hardley is my nom de plume. My real name is Steve Rayner. So my relatives don't have to admit that they're related to me. I usually go by Ken Hardley. But so I just wanted to clarify that. Most people, well, I guess this is my public coming out. My name is Steve Rayner. Glad to be here.
I don't know who to call you. Okay. Well, anyways, we'll stick with Ken for the moment.
Yeah, do that.
All right. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about psychology necessarily, but it does fit. Music, psychology. Why do we do what we do? We're both musicians. You and I have played at Infinity together. Sort of, and then we were also featured at the Kaleidoscope that one year.
Yes.
At the Little Theater. Where was that?
The Little Theater and the Opera House.
Yes. So we've been in various venues together, and it's always been a lot of fun. You've taken things to a different level with music, and it's called a Rolling Hills Radio. It has a great sound. Ladies and gentlemen, now Ken Hardley and Rolling Hills Radio. Tell us about it. Where did it come from? I mean, I remember seeing something in the paper on Facebook. I'm going like, what's that all about? So I want to know more. My viewers want to know, what is Rolling Hills Radio?
Yeah, Rolling Hills. We're in our 6th season now, and we decided to celebrate Americana grassroots music. There is so much of it and it's really become quite a thing over the last 20 years. But it started way back, you know, in the Civil War era, music that is distinctly American, and the genre has been named Americana. And in particular, upstate New York in general, and Chautauqua County in particular, we have an astounding number of musicians who practice this kind of music, who do it very well. People like Kev Rowe. And
he's been on the show.
Yeah, he's on the show fairly recently, wasn't he? He's
a couple weeks ago.
Wonderful. And people like him have that kind of music going on. So we decided to, why not broadcast a radio show celebrating that exact kind of thing.
Who's we?
Actually, I like to look at this as a project between Dennis Drew and
he's been on the show.
He was on the show fairly recently. Dennis is there would be no Rolling Hills Radio had it not been for Dennis's enthusiasm. I late one night got this idea, and I said, you know, I met Dennis Drew a couple times. I think I'll send him an email and see what he thinks about this. And by the time I got up the next morning, I had this big effusive email. Yes, let's do it. And Dennis was just really enthused by it, and it's really been his energy, his creativity, and his honchoing things through that made this show a reality. And he remains our creative inspiration. He's a great idea man.
Okay, so Rolling Hills Radio was a brainchild of yours one night. You get hold of Dennis Drew, who's the general manager of WRFA.
Yes.
Out of the Reg Lene
Yes.
Theater.
That's where we broadcast
so
from now.
I've set the thing. So people that don't know anything about this, what is it?
It's a show of music and interviews. This last show that we recorded 3 days ago is a good example. We have the Byrne sisters from Ithaca, New York, and Tom Whitmore from Rochester, New York. Both of the Byrne sisters are a very high-profile duo at this point, Annie and Marie Burns. We invite them to come, as well as we had Tom this time, a wonderful singer-songwriter, a quirky fellow from Rochester. And each entity on the show plays a total of 4 songs with 2 interviews. And we end the program with a finale in which all of the musicians on stage play a song. And that's basically how it goes. And then anybody who's lucky enough to be in the studio audience, and they have to hurry if they want to do that because every show sells out, we usually hang around the stage and play 2 or 3 more songs after that just for the studio audience. But again, the show expanded over the year. We began with mostly, the theory was local and regional. Now we're regional, national. We have, we've had Jim Lauderdale, John McEwen of Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. We've had various members of the Maniacs, as well as the 10,000 Maniacs on our show. We just had Roy Bookbinder, the great blues guy. This spring we're having Jonathan Edwards.
Jonathan Edwards from the 70s, Jonathan Edwards?
That's the guy, yeah. Sunshine Go Away.
Yeah, I used to try, I attempted to sing that back when it was...
Tough song to sing.
It's very hard song.
You got some courage there. Yeah, actually I have a connection with Jonathan. Hopefully he won't remember when he arrives in May, in April 28th is that show. I actually opened for Jonathan Edwards in 1981, somewhere in Buffalo. I don't remember if it was Buff State or UB or whatever. And my band was rehearsing in the dressing room. We saw this guy looking through the window, and we motioned him in. He came in and listened to us rehearse a couple songs, and he said, "Geez, I really like you guys." And I said, "Well, I think there's some tickets left if you want to go to the show." And he said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there." It was Jonathan Edwards. But he's a wonderful man, and we did his encore with him. And then he was very involved, and he still is, very involved in environmental issues. At that time, we were very concerned about the safety of nuclear power. And he had a tour called Power, him and John Hall and some other high-profile people. We also opened for John Hall, who was...
Hall & Oates?
The other John Hall from Orleans.
Okay.
Dance with me, I want to be that guy. He later became a congressman on the other end of the state.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for about, I'm going to say 4 or 5 terms, somewhere in there, I'm kind of guessing. He's also very politically involved. So it was an interesting and an exciting time back then. But I think Jonathan, he's been touring ever since, releasing one album after another. He's got a hefty catalog of albums, but Sunshine Go Away Today remains his signature tune.
Sure. Okay, so people are listening, watching right now. They're saying, "Oh, I like music, but what do you mean by Americana? You said Americana, but I mean, are we talking heavy metal, headbanging music, as some people call it? Can you kind of approach it a little bit? Some things are just not definable, and I understand that, but can you kind of tell us what it's not, or what is it?
What a great question. You didn't tell me I was going to have to think on this on the show this morning. Okay, now I can do this, though. Don't worry. Everybody relax. I got this.
Okay, I'll sit back and relax.
Americana is, again, started probably in the late 1800s, idiosyncratic music, but it represents what is America because it doesn't necessarily come from America. We can talk about the banjo, which really, you know, a lot of what the banjo is now came from Africa. We talk about a lot of instruments and a lot of musical styles. Bluegrass, for example, really sprung from country music and Irish music. So it's Americana is a melting pot of lots of different folk kinds of music, music from the heart, music, genuine people's music that has come together and become music that people can play on their front porch. Music that people relate to on a from the heart kind of level. Mm-hmm. We definitely talk about bluegrass and jazz and those kinds of things, but I think probably some of the people that represent Americana the best are, we think of Woody Guthrie, we think of Pete Seeger. Nowadays we can even talk about Bob Dylan. And we have others, like the tallest man on earth is a wonderful example. Conor Oberst.
He's got a really strange voice. Is that the one I'm thinking of? He's got a real kind of a high voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, gravelly. I think I heard him.
Yeah, it's very distinctive.
Yeah.
When you hear it, you say, yeah, that's a voice I'm not going to forget. So and it's creative, but it's got its own style. But exactly as you say, there's no particular thing that I can say. Okay, this is what Americana is. You can't define it like that. It's a feeling. It's an attitude. It's a together. It embraces. It has to do with tolerance. It has to do with all the things that America really stands for. And it sounds patriotic, but it's not. It's not, you know, it's not our team is America versus other, you know, our music is better than someone else's. It includes everything. It doesn't disclude anything.
The first time I heard the term Americana was Bill Ward. He was on the show about a year ago. Him and Amanda Barton were on my holiday show. At the end of the year, just before Christmas. And I asked him that question, so what do you describe your music? He says Americana. And I've been thinking about that for a long time. And I guess when I think about the music I write, and I've listened to your music, and Kev Rowe, and Maniacs, and whomever, all over Chautauqua County, there's hundreds of great musicians. It's Americana. And we're influenced however we're influenced. I never realized how much of my music is really bluegrass country, but I'm part Irish. And so, as many people know, I was playing Irish music for the last few years, and I still do from time to time. But when I get done with the song, I go, wow, that's just like something I used to do when I played country music. Or when I was doing, you know, the Osborne Brothers or whatever group that's Bill Monroe. The sound is there. And I go, wow. But yet then there's other sounds in there that are clearly not from any other country but here, and I can't describe it either. But maybe it's a little bit of the blues underneath there, just kind of filtering in, and so on. Okay, so you yourself are a musician. So what kind of musician are you?
You know, I should have an answer for that, but I almost never. It almost always throws me. I'm so eclectic, and I play so many genres. It's really hard to kind of. I don't know, maybe folk rock, I'm not sure, but I play Irish music. I love traditional country. I've rocked out for years. I played in a bar band.
There's your album.
There it is, Ken Hardley and the Moose Club, and that spans a lot of different kinds of music as well. You know, there's reggae here, there's traditional country here. There are two songs that are definitely bluegrass. There's even a song that's a little bit ska. So
there you are. Rolling Hills Radio.
Oh, there you are.
I'm
pointing at.
So what are you doing there? What's your job?
That's a good question.
You're not playing you don't play every time, right? Or do you play every time?
Yeah, every show, everybody has to sit through a song that I play.
Okay.
And so I open every show with a song. And then after that, I'm the MC. I'm the guy who talks to people and points.
So you're doing my job, like here.
I do your job, not quite as well.
Probably better. So then, you are bringing in music in this radio show that normally wouldn't be heard in Chautauqua County.
Yeah, it has turned out that way. Tom Whitmore is a great example of exactly that. We have people like Tom here in Chautauqua County who writes it, but he brings an attitude, he brings a quirky attitude that we kind of lack here. Maybe he planted the seed and we'll have that. But yeah, that's an excellent point. The Byrne sisters, I think this is maybe the second or third time they were ever in Chautauqua County, they said. The Dady brothers will be here in January.
Dady's are world-renowned Irish singers. I mean, they've got albums and they've played the Opera House like we have and things like that. But I mean, they're really, and you have a close relationship with them, if I remember right.
Yeah, they're old buddies of mine from years back. And yeah, they are. I think they just released their 14th album. Which is a tribute album to Stephen Foster. It's as far as I know, it's their first non-Irish album. Yeah, they'll be here in January, and again, they've been to Chautauqua County several times. But as you say, they don't come here routinely.
Okay. So, if people are listening and watching right now, they say, "Well, I'd like to go to that radio show."
No, that's a good idea.
How do they do that? Give us the route to get there. How do we do it?
Yeah, well, the first thing you do is you need to plan ahead, because we definitely sell out every show.
And the cost is?
$10 a show.
A whole $10?
Tell you, we do whatever we can to keep the costs low, because that's what we do. We aren't here for the purpose of giving shareholders money or anything like that. We're not a capitalist organization. We do it for the purpose of bringing music to folks.
Okay.
And we want everybody to be able to come. We want to make sure it's affordable. The bigger shows, I do need to mention, like Jonathan Edwards, cost a bit more this season. I think it's $20. But we do that at the Big Reg, at the Reg Center for the Arts, the big theater. But most of the shows are broadcast from the Studio Theater, with a capacity of 70. So it's 716-484-7070 to buy tickets over the phone, or reglinea.com. You can buy the tickets online.
Okay. And the Reg is downtown Jamestown, 3rd Street.
Yes.
And parking is across the street at the ramp. And I always bring it up because parking can be a bit tricky in Jamestown. Whenever I've gone down there.
Parking is a frequent source of conversation in Jamestown. There's no question about that.
But it's all doable. And so the Reg is the old Palace, and it's a beautiful theater. You walk in the door of the theater, and where do you go?
The Studio Theater, you walk right in, and there you are. It's a television studio. And by the way, we are experimenting with video, so maybe one of these days I'll have to get a haircut.
Which one?
There are several of them up there. We may have to check out.
So you walk in, and the studio's right there.
Yes.
Like where?
Oh, 108 East 3rd Street.
But I mean, as you walk into the theater itself, it's in the theater.
Yeah, there are two theaters at the Reg.
I'm confused here. Okay.
Yeah, you are. And I'll help you with that.
Oh, please do.
I went to school for this, helping people become unconfused. There's the big theater, the 1,200 seat. Yeah, the 1,200 people can fit in there, and you walk in, and there are the concessions and all the nice things, and people will guide you in, and you give somebody your ticket, and you go to your seat. The Studio Theater is a couple doors down from that, and that's a little television theater, like you would see Jeopardy or something.
I don't know if I've ever been in there.
Maybe you have not. Yeah, you walk in off the street, and there you are in a television.
All right,
studio.
so you don't go into the main theater; you go a couple places down.
Right. For 7 of our shows, they're in the Studio Theater.
Okay.
2 of our shows are in the big theater every season.
So how many shows do you do a year?
9.
9.
And we have always done one from Chautauqua in the summertime.
Cool.
At the amphitheater.
All right. So
we had Michael Glebicki of Rusted Root last summer.
Okay, I read that. Okay. And if people want more information, they can get you on Facebook too, right?
Get us on Facebook. There's a Rolling Hills Facebook page. There's a Ken Hardley Facebook page. You can always email me, info@kenhardley.com. We've got a website, kenhardley.com.
Catchy.
So, you like that?
Okay, so people are saying, okay, there's 70 people, $10 a person, that's $700. So where do the proceeds go?
So for some, we got to pay some rent, so there's definitely that.
Okay.
A little bit of it, not much, goes towards the artists, and the reason is because it's a volunteer-driven program. Everybody who works for Rolling Hills is a volunteer, including myself. So that's how we keep our costs down. And we have all of our volunteers, I'm happy to say, have a missionary zeal. Everybody's there because they love to be there. And it's part of the spirit, it's part of the community spirit of the show. But at any rate, yeah, we got some rent, paid the artists a little bit, and we explained to them as well. You know, this is something we're doing because we're nice guys. But you'd be amazed how many musicians are interested in doing exactly that for this purpose, and they want to play because of the sense of community. And I'll keep the names to myself, but we've had, I try to work through agents when we're talking about the big deal guys, and, they laugh me off the phone when I tell them how much we pay.
Or not pay.
Yeah, but if I can make a personal connection with the artist, almost every time the artist will say, yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
But because that's the kind of people that musicians are as a rule.
Yeah.
We're nice guys, even you and me.
How many gigs have you done for free?
Well, a lot.
Musicians are generous people. I mean, I don't think I've ever known a musician that was not willing to do a fundraiser, help out a cause, come in and do a set for whatever organization, as long as it's a legitimate organization. Musicians are like that. They generally don't make a lot of money.
True.
In many respects, because they're very often just out there helping people. I mean, of course, they're getting paid in many cases, but what I'm getting at is that they really do a lot of pro bono work. Yeah,
that's absolutely true, and Rolling Hills kind of counts on that. We depend on the kindness of musicians.
Okay, so we go down to 3rd Street, we go into the Studio Theater, which is not the big one, and you got a ticket, and then there's 70 chairs?
About 70 chairs.
70 chairs. So you sit down, and what time does this start?
Well, the door opens at 5:30
because
we have what we call the rolling happy hour, where you can mingle for an hour before the show begins. And it has turned out to be quite a thing. Again, the sense of community. We have season tickets, and we started off, we sold about 20 season tickets. Now we have doubled that, and we can probably sell more because people like seeing each other. And indeed.
Are the artists, the musicians, part of that social hour, or are they off stage?
Often they are. We're doing a lot of preparation in the green room and things like that. But if we have time, the musicians always want to wander up and meet people beforehand, because musicians also tend to be people.
Yeah.
Did I say that right? People persons. And so we do that for an hour, so a lot of mingling and visiting and saying hello. Then the show actually begins usually about 6:45. We start the pre-show activity. We got to warm up artists for the audience, and I'll say a few words. We'll give the audience some instructions because it's a radio show. I have to give them the cue for clapping. And those kinds of things.
An applause sign?
We do not have an applause sign. We ordered one, but when it came back, it said applesauce, so we couldn't use it. So we have to do it the old-fashioned way. We go like this, and people applaud.
Okay.
Things like that, and then the show begins. The taping begins at 7 o'clock, and we usually finish it. Well, we have an intermission, a 5-minute intermission, and we usually finish up around 8:15 or so. We usually have to do a retake or two at some point.
A retake of what?
Well, sometimes the theme music doesn't come in quite right, or sometimes somebody's cell phone goes off or something.
And taping, as far as videotaping, audio taping, what kind of taping?
It's a radio show, so it's strictly audio.
Okay.
At this point, although as I say, we are experimenting with video, and we did release a video about a year ago. We did one show, and we said, this is harder than it looks. I don't know how you do it, Doc. So we went back to the drawing board.
Here. I just show up Saturday mornings, mumble a bunch of words, and let people talk. But there is a lot of work, and people don't appreciate that. Even in radio. We were talking earlier that I worked with Dennis Webster to produce over 60 radio shows back in the late 90s, early 2000 for when I worked for BOCES, and there's a lot of equipment and things to do here. I'm going to take a commercial break and run this thing, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it. And all of that technical stuff, no hablo inglés here. Fortunately, we have a great technician. Ed Tomasini is his name.
Oh, I know Ed.
Yeah, he's a pro, and he's been around the community for years. And speaking of doing things for the community, I mean, he has done so much behind the scenes, and he's very kind of under the radar about that. He doesn't even want people to mention his name, so I hope he's not watching this.
He's a very quiet guy.
Yeah, he doesn't like recognition, but he shows up. He's the guy who, you know, recorded your daughter's ballet, and you know, he'll just show up and do that.
Okay, let's take a little break. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guest today is Ken Hardley, and we're talking about Rolling Hills Radio. And if you have a question for Ken or myself, or you have an announcement, if you want to share birthday wishes to someone or anniversary, if you're, let's see, your club or organization is having a special holiday event and you want to let us know, call us 753-5225, or you can Twitter us, email us, or whatever, and we'll be happy to announce that, or we'll put it on our community bulletin board. So don't be shy, okay? Again, Rolling Hills Radio name, where did that come from? I mean, when I think of this, I think of cows and pastures and, you know, quiet music playing, and I get all kind of mellow.
I'm glad it does that. Maybe that was the intent.
There's a nice sound to it.
Yeah. It's you know, it's like writing a song, or maybe any even creative endeavor. You know, I talked with friends about what should we name this thing, and we were all brainstorming, trying to think of this, that, and the other thing. And then it just came to me. Like one morning, I'm laying in bed and I said, "Oh, Rolling Hills Radio." I don't know where that came from, but that's the name. That works, and it does kind of work. I mean, the Byrne sisters told me as they drove from Ithaca to Jamestown, and they said, you know, when we got closer to Chautauqua County, we saw Rolling Hills. It's beautiful. You named your show.
You nailed it.
Yeah, and they went on, you know, talking romantically about our rolling hills here, and it really is a beautiful area.
But that's a nice name. When I first saw that, I thought, wow, that catches my eye. It has a nice sound to it. It's like, you know, people say, where'd you come up with a name for this show? And I was sitting in Savannah, Georgia, and Barb and I were in a hotel room, and we're listening to music tracks for this show and stuff like that, and I was trying to come up with a name. I thought, okay, I want to talk about Chautauqua County. It's a morning show, and then Chautauqua Sunrise, and there we are. And so, you know, it's funny how we come up with things, but there's always a nice story behind it all. Okay, so you've been doing this for 6 years. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 6 years.
That doesn't seem possible. That's a long time. So what's the future of Rolling Hills Radio?
It's going to chug along in its current sensuous fashion. I don't know. We have no intention of ending this. They're going to have to drag me out of the room kicking and screaming. So we're going to continue on with Rolling Hills Radio for sure. And as time goes on, you know, a lot of it has to do with, as far as the artists go, networking. You know, there are people that I didn't think we ever had a prayer of getting. And indeed, you may have heard of Jorma Kaukonen. His publicity agent called me out of nowhere the other day. Jorma is the guitarist for Hot Tuna and Jefferson Airplane.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, no. First I said, really? Who are you? And she finally convinced me that, yeah, that's who it was. So, and I think that connection came from the great Roy Bookbinder, who's good buddies of Jorma. And so,
the network. Like
why stop? You know, we keep chugging along and getting more fun people all the time. And but at the same time, we've had so many wonderful artists that we'd like to have some of them back. We'd like to have all of them back.
Sure.
And the audience is clamoring to have people like, for example, the Dady Brothers. We've had them on the show before, and people said, you got to have those guys back. So we try to repeat, you know, we try to have 2 or 3 folks who have been on the show before every season. But we have, right now, I could book Rolling Hills, excuse me, for probably the next 2.5 or 3 seasons without repeating an artist, of people that have expressed an interest or I've been in contact with.
A tribute to you guys. What a success.
The success really belongs to the crew, the cast, and Dennis Drew. I mean, that's what props everything up and makes it go. They give us the infrastructure. And WRFA has been great. Jason Samples suffers through all the editing. I do not make it easy for him, but he edits the shows beautifully, and that's a big job. I mean,
he edits the audio.
Yeah, he does.
Okay,
he does, and it's not, you know, the editor. In a lot of ways, decides what the flavor of the show is going to be, you know, how it's going to be presenting itself, and he does a wonderful job. It's an art.
So, for those of us that may or may not be able to get to the show, how do we hear it?
You can hear it on WRFA every Friday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And don't forget, if you're within 5-10 miles of Jamestown, it's 107.9.
Right.
But most people listen to it streaming. It's WRFALP.com. And you can just stream it with the miracle of the internet. People can listen to this in Russia or Antarctica,
That's
Brazil, you know. And I like to fantasize to myself that they do.
Of course they do. Breaking news, I just got a message that our head engineer, Jeff Zook, bagged a big deer today. How many points? Anybody can tell me through my earpiece? 7-point deer. So Jeff is just pulled in. He's all cleaned up. So Jeff, I'm happy for you. You're going to have venison for Thanksgiving. So
it's great news.
The hunters are out there.
The deer.
Okay, now the questions I now have are about your guests that have been on your show. So let's do the usual kinds of things, like of all the folks that have been on your show, the first one that comes to your mind is?
First one that comes to my mind, oh, that's a good question. Who's the first one that comes to my mind?
Who would pop right up as soon as I said that?
Well, I don't know. Do we want talent or sexiness? I've got to say, the one that I made a personal connection with that really surprised me was John McEwen of Nitty.
That was the one was in my mind, because when you told me you had John McEwen on from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, I just sat there and going like those guys are like my, I don't want to say heroes, but they're pretty close to it. I mean, I love that band. I've always loved that group. So how'd you get him on your show?
There was definitely that, and the big thing for me with him is the history that he made with Will the Circle Be Unbroken, that triple album that came out in 1970 that was groundbreaking, that really brought Americana to the front and carried it over a threshold. And John, although he will say he was not, I will say he was personally, singularly responsible. Had it not been for him, that album would not have happened. How did I get him on the show? I called his agent. And you know, you just keep in this business. I think you just keep throwing stuff against the wall until something sticks. And you know, I called probably 50 people, and that happened. And it was just the right timing. He happened to be going through town or whatever. And
so these people are just like passing through. I mean, people aren't just going to show up for a couple bucks to be on your show. I'm not being facetious, because most of these guys are big names, and they're commanding some pretty good money.
That's true.
So is it like they're on their way on a tour, or how do you catch them?
Yeah, and I paid a lot of attention to that early on. I was, in fact, recently I did that with Roy Bookbinder. Okay. He was between, you know, because we are kind of, even though we're not on the way to anywhere, we're in a hub between Cleveland, Erie, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Rochester. So if I find out somebody's playing in Rochester or Erie, I'll call them and say, you know what? We broadcast on a Thursday. You're playing on a Friday. What do you know? We'll put you up for the night. Come on, and I'll give you a couple donuts. And that works. That works. Now we're to the point where we've had artists. They'll book us, and then we'll give them hints as to where they might book around us.
Gotcha.
And that seems to be working for us.
Wow, that's really cool. So John McEwen somehow or another ended up on your CD as well.
Yeah.
How did you do that? I mean, I could invite somebody to be on my. Whoa! I just lost my microphone here. Where'd it go?
You got excited there.
I am very excited here.
Well, he and I kind of had a personal chemistry or something. I don't know. We spent literally, and I'm not exaggerating about this, a lot because of the snowstorm a year ago today. Hours on the phone together, a lot trying to figure out what the heck we're going to do to get the guy in here. Because remember, there was that snowstorm, and that's when his show is scheduled. That you know, 6 feet, 10 feet of snow on the throughway.
November, yeah.
Snow, yeah, and he ended up not being able to make it, although we tried. But he did play the following January. But at any rate, so we got to know each other quite well. And I said, you know, you're going to be in town on a Thursday. What do you think about the following day, just spending a few hours in the studio with me? And he said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So that's what happened.
It's like Paul McCartney happened to be in Buffalo, and I asked him to come down and run some bass lines for me. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. I got a caller. Ready?
Yes.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Jack. Good morning, Ken. This is Linda Spalding. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great.
Great. It's great to see Ken on the show and hear about all the exciting activities in Jamestown and the area.
Yeah.
I'm also calling to announce that we, of course, have services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging, and I have the Senior Employment Program. We're going to be starting up our computer training again at the Patterson Library in Westfield. That's going to be starting again, and we also have our Brockton site. We're going to be having a graduation. Over 1,000 people have been trained for the basic computer in our program.
Linda, is there a fee for that?
No, it's free.
Free?
Free to the community.
Beautiful. 1,000 people.
Way over 1,000 people, yes.
Well, congratulations. That's quite a milestone.
Well, thank you. And then we have a site that will be opening again in Jamestown, and we have one in Olean, and one we're going to be opening again in Dunkirk. So.
Wow, you're everywhere.
Yeah, and we do have jobs. Please call me. I'm screening for different businesses and agencies for jobs.
Good to know. All right. Yeah. All right, and so if you're a senior and we define senior anyone over like 50, didn't we decide that one day?
Well, the Department of Labor classifies an older worker as anybody who is age 40 or over.
We're all eligible.
That?
All right.
Yeah, that's when you can file a age discrimination suit, 40 or over.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a son that could do that now.
Yeah. Age discrimination. Oh, I should get busy. I got some suits in mind now. Look, if you don't mind, you've got the last name of someone who was one of my favorite teachers and had a huge influence on my life, an English teacher here in Mayville. His name was Doug Spalding.
That was my husband.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so you're one of his students. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he was a real inspiration, seriously.
Oh, he's my favorite teacher. He inspired me.
I bet.
And he loved his students. He absolutely loved his students.
He really did. I would run across him here and there years later, and he would always remember me and visit with me.
Yeah.
He was a great man.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks for calling, Lynn. You all set for Thanksgiving?
Yes,
Good.
I am. I'm all set for Thanksgiving. It's going to be great. And I have my son Steve is coming in to see me with his wife, and we're going to have a great time.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in as always. And people may not know this, but Linda's going to actually be on the show in person in the new year. So we're looking forward to that too, Linda.
I'll have to spiff up.
Okay. No dogs. If you bring your dog, I got to bring mine. All right. We'll catch you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, Linda. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. We only got a couple minutes left. Well, that went by really quick, didn't it?
It really did. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Like right now.
All right, so Rolling Hills Radio. What do you want to tell the folks, in a summary of what's going on?
Oh, with Rolling Hills, yes. We appreciate the community support, too. I mentioned all the infrastructure support that we have, but had it not been for people latching on to the show and becoming interested and being enthusiastic about the show, the public, we wouldn't be here. The show number 1, we had 6 people show up. 4 of whom were related to one of the artists. Show number 2, it took off, and we've sold out essentially every show since then. So I can't thank the community enough, and I think it's a lot because of the American spirit. People like to share, and and music is a wonderful way to do that. Rolling Hills Radio is as much an attitude and a feeling of togetherness as it is about music.
Great. So it's Thursday nights, and it's at the Theater Studio on 3rd Street.
Correct.
And it's near the Reg.
Right,
and you got to get tickets, and they got to call, I got it right here, 484-7070, 7070. They want tickets. It's only $10. What a deal.
Can't beat it.
Unless there's a special artist. Okay, last question maybe. I don't know, we'll have time. The weirdest thing that's happened on your show so far. I mean, we all have those kind of crazy things, or something go wrong, or something happen, or
the weirdest thing that's ever happened. You might have stumped me there. We have people go out. I always tell people on the intermission, there's something magical about this stage. It will make your guitar go out of tune.
There you go.
So be sure to tune. And sometimes I don't remember to say that, and I'll be interviewing somebody, and you'll hear a guy go. Yep. Those are things that really kind of take us back.
Okay. But that's normal.
yeah, I guess it is.
Okay, so things are running smooth. You're having some great guests and so forth. We've run out of time. Ken, thanks for coming by here at Chautauqua Sunrise.
Very much a pleasure.
And sometime, hopefully, I can get over there and see your show.
That'd be great.
So, folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guest has been Ken Hardley from Rolling Hills Radio. Check them out. We'll see you all again next week, same time, same place. Happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. Watch out for the deer out there. We'll see you. Take care.